So this is something that I talk about constantly, right? This is what I've been telling you guys for a really long time, is what's going on. This is very much an example of what Trump has termed as being freedom cities. He's openly talked about it. Peter Thiel has openly talked about it. Mark Andreessen has talked about it. These are the cities that they want to establish that allow no regulation by the American government of AI or technology. They don't allow the Department of Energy to interfere in these cities. They don't allow the FDA to interfere in these cities. And this is what they want for the future of America. And what I, in a very depressingly sad way, actually believe is going to happen to America if people don't wake up and start pushing back against this techno-oligarchy. So this video, I believe, is by More Perfect Union, called Tech Billionaires, Shocking Plot for Rural America.
They purchased this land here as well as on the other side, which is a bit scary.
Is there?
Yeah, all of this.
Sorry,
people know what we will be giving up, but what will we get in return is the larger question, and no one really knows that with certainty.
Solano County, California sits just north of the Bay Area and south of Sacramento. And for the past 8 years, its largely middle and working class communities have been facing what many locals consider a hostile takeover.
They've destroyed families. They don't care. They do not care about us, no matter what they say.
You can't make this shit up. You know, I have never seen anything like this.
See, and that's what I'm saying. When I say to you guys I'm writing this book, and then I say to you guys, real good science fiction is just writing about what's going on right now, is like what she just said. You can't make this shit up. That's why people, when they hear me talk about this shit, are like, oh, you're just being a conspiracy theorist. This, it's not real. Isn't this conspiracy theory? This is not a conspiracy theory. This is actually what these people are doing, and they've written books about it. They've given speeches on it. They give interviews about it. They do not hide the fact that this is what they want to do with America. And they are the richest people in the country, and some of them are the richest people in the world. So they have the resources to carry it out. And through Donald Trump, they have the conduit to make it happen.
We visited Solano County in June to learn more about a battle between a local community and a secretive group intent on creating its own society. The story began in 2017.
A farmer from out in the area called me and said, hey, somebody's buying land out here. And I thought, okay. He goes, but it's a lot of land. So I went down.
Yeah, and the trippy part about that is that I was reading news articles during this time about a secretive billionaires club of people that were buying up land in California. And at that time, I didn't know anything about any of these things. And so I was kind of like, who cares? You know, so what are they going to do? They're going to build housing units. I didn't understand exactly what this meant. I didn't understand how the housing regulations and the city regulations would work for this forever city that they were calling it. I thought it was just a bunch of tech billionaires that wanted to build a private community for them, just like Silicon Valley.
And to the county and looked at the property records.
Yeah, Kelly,
and I could see the name Flannery LLC, and that they had bought up at that time more than 20,000 acres.
Albert Medvitz and his wife Jeannie moved back to Solano County in 1987 to run her family's farm, one of the many dryland farms in the region.
This dude looks like the type of dude that's like, nah, you ain't buying my shit.
2019, we ourselves got a letter offering to buy our ranch at inflated prices. We made it clear there's no way we're going to sell this ranch. And they simply could not seem to comprehend why people would turn down money for something and maybe more value than money could buy.
Yeah, because there are people that are used to not hearing the answer no. And that's, like I said, one of the scariest things about these people doing this.
They decided to sue the ones who would not sell to them.
They came in the dark of night, kind of. They did this stuff secretly. You know, they've just ticked off a whole lot of the community. And then they have the gall to sue farmers that don't want to sell.
Yeah, and when he says they did it secretly, he means that. Like they didn't have to disclose because I think it was through like a LLC or a group. I don't completely understand how you're able to do this, but they didn't have to disclose who was buying the land. It was like a business was buying the land that had like no attachments to anything. You couldn't find what it was. And I believe that's where the term California Forever comes from, because I believe the group was California Forever.
It's just like, what are you thinking?
Flannery also sued dozens of other family farmers who held out after discussing the value of their land amongst each other, accusing them of collusion and antitrust violations.
Of course they talked. Farmers do that. People do that. They want badly. One's right near the water, and that person is not giving it up. So these
and why do they want them near the water? Why do they want them near the water? Because they want to put down nuclear facilities. And this is the thing. I'm a pro-nuclear person, right? And I don't think that if you don't understand about AI takes a insane amount of energy. So you can't produce enough electricity for AI facilities without nuclear. So I'm not anti-nuclear, but I am anti-cities putting in nuclear with no regulations, with no oversight from the government, and doing it right next to the water, which is where they want it. So this is, once again, when I talk about these things, I continue to say this. It is not a singular problem. It's a multi-part problem. It isn't just that these cities would exist with their own regulations in the way of like what they can or can't do with the people that live there, or the laws they have, or how they disenfranchise people by getting them to buy property and then kicking them out if they don't stick to the terms of service. It's also about the potential of them poisoning the water supply. It's also about the potential of them destroying the land. There's so many more things to this that, once again, a lot of these like Trump supporter type of people don't think of. They think, so what? They got money, which is fucking weird because literally like a year and a half ago, they were telling me about how BlackRock was bad. But anyways, they can't think past their nose. They only see what's directly in front of their face, and they can't think about the myriad amount of problems that would come with these unregulated cities owned by these billionaires that can pay off people, especially, like they thought they could with these ranchers. They think, oh, well, there's this middle class or upper middle class mayor or, council person. And if I just offer them hundreds of thousands of dollars, they'll let me do whatever I want. And $100,000 to me is nothing, but to that person, it's life-changing money. So if you have a brain, if you have a functioning frontal lobe, you should be able to figure out that this isn't just something where it's bad because they're buying up land that other people could own. It's bad for a lot of fucking reasons.
Farmers, what's happened is they are going broke trying to fight back against these billionaire boys.
Yep. And that's the game, right? So the game is, somebody asked me once, I think it was even my stepbrother, asked me why in the Katie Johnson case against Trump and Epstein, the files that were released in Florida that Katie Johnson took Trump and Epstein to court civilly to attempt to hold them accountable years after her being allegedly raped by them. And he said, well, why would you drop the case if that happened to you? A lot of what happens in lawsuits is paperwork warfare, right? People like Trump, people like Epstein, people like these billionaires know how to continue to put forth these lawsuits that keep you filing against them. So one of the problems with like defamation, right? So somebody can bring a defamation case against you and it can be completely frivolous and you know that it'll be thrown out, but you still have to take time out of your day to go to the court. You still have to file your point of view. You still have to prove that what they're doing is frivolous and before it can be thrown out. So people can do this. People with lots of money can pay lawyers to drown everyday people in paperwork and lawsuits to the point that you just give up and sell your land. So once again, this is something that people don't get. They go, well, why wouldn't they, if it's wrong, why wouldn't they just get lawyers and fight it? Because it's not always possible to do that. You might be able to do it for the first little bit, But all of these people, whether it's Trump or it's Epstein or it's Mark Andreessen or Peter Thiel or Elon Musk, every one of them have unlimited resources, and you have very finite resources that affect not just you, but your family and your friends as well. So it's just one of those things that, once again, like, people don't understand how complicated all of this actually is. They think everything can be reduced down into, well, why didn't they just do that?
It's just been agonizing. There were so many people who were wounded by this.
The buyers maintained a veil of secrecy around their identity until August 2023. That's when the New York Times broke the news that Flannery, which eventually spent $900 million buying up 66,000 acres of land, is the front group for a company called California Forever. And California Forever, backed by billionaires such as Reid Hoffman, Laurene Powell Jobs, and Mark Andreessen, wants to build a privately run city in the middle of the county's protected farmland with far less regulation.
The new city would be located north of Highway 12 between Travis Air Force Base and Rio Vista.
The group wants to build a green community that it claims will include thousands of affordable homes, shopping, dining, and walkable neighborhoods.
So they're saying they want to be good neighbors with people in Solano County, and at the same time they're suing their own literal fence-by-fence neighbors.
Investors.
Yeah, so they're suing them to make them so, because they're claiming that they're price fixing by talking to each other about these billionaires trying to. So once again, this is a loophole, right? So these farmers get together and they say to each other, hey, I got, an offer from this California Forever group. I don't want to sell to them. They're offering me pretty good money, but I don't think I'm going to sell. And then other farmers are saying, yeah, they're also offering me money. How much money are they offering you? And that is enough for them to be able to bring lawsuits against these farmers to claim that they're price fixing, that they do want to sell the properties, but they're price fixing against the fucking conehead, Mark Andreessen. God, his head is so weird. Something happened during birth with that guy. It's the eyebrows and the conehead, dude. It's fucking mesmerizing. Anyways. Made me lose my train of thought seeing that fucking egghead.
Investors in California Forever have been largely mum on the project and strategy.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Okay, now I remember. God, I got the egghead just fucking completely lost track. So, once again, because they know these people are so goddamn aggressively gullible, what they're doing to these people is they're going, hey man, why are you mad? We're going to create a green city. That's perfect. You're liberals. You want a green city, right? It's going to be like, there's not going to need for cars. You're going to be able to walk everywhere. It's going to be great. But anytime somebody is selling you something that sounds too good to be true, then it's probably too good to be true. And think about it this way. If you know anything about cults, when you own a home on the property that the cult owns, you don't own the home. If you want to leave the cult, you have to leave the home that you purchased on the property that they own. Therefore, it's their house now. I know this because I know people that lost their home to cults. You have to realize that these billionaires that are making these cities aren't doing it for the greater good of your community. They might have some otherworldly expectations of, leaving behind the mark on history that they did something great for humanity, and they're the first people to set down, roots and create this Jetson-type city. I'll be good faith enough to say that that's a possibility. But the reality is probably more like these people want to be able to experiment on people, and they want to work without regulations, and they want to put neural links in people's heads, and they want to be able to use AI to generate whatever the fuck they want without any oversight, and they want to be able to put nuclear facilities down to run their AI facilities without any type of government red tape that would make this take too long because they're old as fuck and they're afraid of dying with all this money and not getting to use it to do the weird shit that they want to do. That's probably closer to reality.
The public face of California Forever is its CEO, a former Goldman Sachs whiz kid named Jan Schwamek. He grew up in Eastern Europe, was a young prodigy in London, and founded a failed Twitter-like app.
Of course he did.
Here he is talking about the lawsuits at a tech conference.
It was a hard decision, but we have laws on the books that protect against that kind of conduct. And we'll leave it to the courts to figure it out.
What is the law that says if you want my property and I don't want to sell it to you,
you drag me to court. What law is that?
There's no law like that. What we have a law against is the law that says if the 6 gas companies, the gas stations in town get together and say that they're gonna charge $50 for gas, then there's price fixing laws against that.
Schwamek has
but that's like that's he's working his way around, right? He's doing mental gymnastics here. He's trying to convince you that these people do want to sell their land, but they're trying to make it so that way they get the most money from these people. Let me just say this right off. There is no price too high for these people. I guarantee it. There's no way that these farmers were asking for such astronomical amounts for their property that these billionaires couldn't get together and just buy them outright and just tell them to fuck off. No. They're using a loophole. They're claiming that that's what they wanted to do. But the reality is these farmers never wanted to sell that. So once again, this is how they get you to turn on your own. This is how you get middle-class people to fight with middle-class people, is you get these fucking morons that would come through here and go, well, price fixing is bad. They shouldn't be getting together and doing that. No. There is no price too high for these people. They would have paid whatever the fuck it would have cost for these pieces of land. It's the fact that these ranchers don't want to sell at all, and they're using a loophole to take them to court to try to sue them and run them out of money and exhaust them to the point that they will just sell this property to them.
Has also been confronted by residents.
Thanks, Yeah, and that's what you
tell
get.
you how much
that's what
hatred I have for these people. Just hatred. Schwamek was crude and did not understand that he would have had a much better reception if he...
Yeah, because he's a moron and he has no idea what it's like to talk to people.
Had talked to people.
Schwamek self-published a book in 2009 titled Racing Towards Excellence, which summed up his personal outlook with a misquote attributed to Ayn Rand. Quote, "The question isn't who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me." The stakes are sky high, both locally and for the nation.
Like I said,
if
they
the
write this
project
shit in
goes through,
books.
a precedent will be set with billionaires able to buy their way through community resistance and create their own...
Hold on, I just figured out why this is such a fucking insanely good idea. They put it in books, guys. They put all their ideas in books. They knew none of these fucking Trump supporters were going to read the books. It's fucking genius. Holy shit, guys. It's fucking genius, guys.
I love the poorly educated.
I just realized they put the information that could save these people in books because they knew there was no fucking way that these people would ever read something. That is fucking genius.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
That is genius level. You got to give them credit for that one, guys. You got to give it credit for that one.
Privately held societies. And if that sounds exaggerated, it's already in progress elsewhere.
Legacy systems of governance keep individuals from reaching their full potential.
Andreessen, one of California Forever's billionaire tech investors, is also an investor in a company called Pronomos, which is trying to build its own radical tech cities around the world. In Honduras, Pronomos purchased land unbeknownst to locals in order to build Prospera, a libertarian, Bitcoin-powered city. And now that the country wants them out, the company is suing to establish autonomy.
Prospera has had a very negative impact on our community. The mental stress that we are under, we don't know when our home will be taken from us.
Prospera is being very slowly built along the ocean in an area with some existing infrastructure.
Once again, it's right next to the water because they want nuclear facilities. Every one of these people want to have their own personal nuclear. That's so fucking scary, dude. Unregulated nuclear. Like, I am a complete proponent of nuclear power. I am not a proponent of nuclear power that is unregulated. That's fucking insane.
Structure. California Forever brings the idea to the U.S. with just as much mystery and libertarian zeal.
I first met young...
You know, another thing, too, and we should probably watch this video on Starbase, the town in Boca Chica, or town of Boca Chica, that Elon Musk just voted, his people just voted to turn into a Starbase city. they just sent emails to all these people saying, if your business exists within certain areas in the city now, it can no longer operate as the business that it was before. So they're zoning out these people, right? Imagine being a mom and pop store, a small business in one of these places, say in Honduras or something like that. And you have a store and they're trying to put a nuclear facility next to it. Or they're blowing up fucking rockets. That's currently what's going on in Boca Chica, where you're hearing, once every 2 months, a gigantic explosion in your home where you live from a rocket blowing up. You don't know where that, those pieces are going to land. You don't know what they shut down the beach in Boca Chica so that way people can't use it because they want to be able to blow up the rockets there. Like, once again, this is a problem that can't be reduced down to one thing. There's so much that could go wrong with these cities that people are not paying attention to. And somebody like Elon waves a $5,000 Doge check in front of their face, and they're like, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't mind if billionaires do whatever they want to my beehive. That's acceptable. It's $5,000. $5,000 is $5,000, brother. Okay? Like, end of the day, they can do whatever they want to me. It's not gay if it's for $5,000.
He came to City Hall and met with me, and I had my city manager there as well. And the one thing that's always stuck out with me in that discussion was we asked him, what kind of governance are you talking about if you're making a city? And he said, we're going to do something completely different.
What up, Go?
It won't be what you're used to. And we asked him to go a little further, and he did not. But it wasn't going to be like a city council kind of thing.
I think the biggest disadvantage will be to the individuals in the new community because you don't have an elected official to hold accountable. You don't have anyone that you can directly communicate your concerns to.
This is a key promise of the so-called network state movement, a tech separatist effort to create private, self-governed utopias. Schwamek has claimed he isn't interested in the movement, but several of California Forever's top investors are involved, and its creator called the would-be city a prime example of his idea.
The network state is about the book, is about the...
So, like I said, they've written books about this. The network state. Read the books. It's not conspiracy theories when people are legit writing in books what they want to do, and then they are carrying it out right in fucking front of you. This isn't some fucking Always Sunny in Philadelphia fucking pointing going on. These people have given speeches. They have written books. Like, just fucking pay attention for 5 fucking minutes and then put 2 and 2 together and recognize that they've been telling you all along what they think the future of humanity, not just America, but the future of humanity is, and they think they should be in charge of it.
Bare land version of it, right? Which is already being tried. You're seeing it in Northern California.
Donald Trump, supported by Andreessen and other Silicon Valley libertarians, has a similar plan, but he calls them freedom cities.
Yep. No, you can't serve 2 masters, is my opinion. So one will always suffer. Either you'll answer to the people that you're serving or your investors, but you really can't do both.
Schwamek has talked repeatedly about removing regulations around building, which is key to the network state's self-government plan and a dream for developers.
And when I look at all of these plans or places that I visited, I often wonder, was the original vision somehow more radical? And then it got watered down because the fire department said something and...
Oh, that pesky fire department. The pesky fire department. These housing regulations are keeping us from being able to do things, like build buildings that catch on fire easily, or, have them clustered so fucking close together that if a fire breaks down, it burns down the whole city and murders everybody in it. The pesky fire department.
The city has said something.
I don't believe that this is just going to be a development. I think this is going to be an experiment about forms of governance.
Yep.
And when you have somebody like Mark Andreessen writing the Techno-Optimist Manifesto, claiming that words like sustainability are a curse on society, I think that's extremely exaggerated.
When we spoke with someone...
And the reason that they hate sustainability is because they want to be able to do things to the environment And they don't want you worried about climate change. They don't want you worried about your drinking water. Remember we watched that video not too long ago where the liberal son asked the conservative father, do you think that the government should have to provide clean water? What was his answer? He said no, without hesitation. These people, they're done. They are pot committed to believing whatever the fuck these billionaires tell Donald Trump to say. All Donald Trump is he's a mouthpiece. Look, Donald Trump is a pay-for-play president. You stick money in his pocket, and then he says the things that you want him to say. That's why some of the things that come out of his mouth sound super hypocritical to the things that he said maybe a year or two ago. Definitely what he said, 6 or 8 years ago. The reason is because if you put money in the slot, the voice just says whatever you want it to.
Solano County locals and officials, they voiced some similar concerns about the proposed city, its size, and how it impact the generations of residents.
My fear is that building a development like this, where it could be up to 400,000 people in a county of 450,000 people, it's not being built for the people of Solano County.
And we have to deal with the consequences. We have to deal with the congestion on Highway 12. We have to deal with the increase in taxes that could possibly happen or occur.
And that's intentional, by the way, because they want to push the people that live there out. They don't want them there because if they live there, then they have to deal with any type of regulations and stuff that potentially get imposed on those people.
We have to deal with, if we're in a drought year, how is water going to be re-rationed?
There was uncertainty about promises made to working class residents.
They're flat out lying to people about what it is.
And worry about California Forever's impact on the environment and economy, which was validated when the Solano County Board of Supervisors released an economic impact study. The report was prepared ahead of a November ballot initiative.
And by the way, this is generally the main reason that they get these counties to agree to them putting these cities in. So when Elon Musk wanted to make Starbase his own city, the way he did it was he bought the council pretty much, right? So he got a bunch of people to run that were pro SpaceX people, and then he had the majority of people that were living there working for SpaceX. So obviously you're not going to vote against Elon Musk or you're going to lose your job. So they claimed that the city of Boca Chica was going to become, this much better because of the industry that Elon Musk is bringing to it. He's going to bring all these new jobs. He's going to bring all this money. Economically, it's going to be great. So this is what they sell everybody on. Once again, you just blind these dipshits with dollars and they're good to go. You can't see past like a $50 bill.
To change zoning laws to allow the city's construction to begin. Polling already showed mass opposition to the plan. Then this happened.
California Forever announcing today its East Solano plan will no longer be on the ballot in November.
Now the company is promising to make adjustments and try again in
And that's probably because they couldn't buy the council.
2026. But the issues they face...
So next year they're going to try again.
Run deeper than deficits. Many of them are a matter of just misunderstanding.
Yeah, Manny, we were just talking about Prospera. Yeah, we were just talking about Prospera in Honduras.
Standing the region. Here's what Jan Schwamek told billionaire investor, LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman about the county's farmland.
We've been able to purchase this property because it is some of the worst soil for agriculture within 100 miles.
Locals vehemently disagree, pointing to the $1.3 billion in revenue that farms and related businesses produced in 2023.
They have taken over a lot of land that has been dry farmed and has brought protein to the country and the world for 3 and 4 generations.
And in this era of climate change, when water is becoming scarcer across the country and across the world to use for crops, to be able here to set an example of how we can produce significant food, important food, without relying on water, it's hugely important.
The orderly growth.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, the reasons that beef prices continue to rise, and they will continue to rise, they won't stop rising. So there's inadequate cattle supply because there's inadequate pasture. And because of climate change, because things continue to get hotter in places that used to have really green pasture and stuff like that, it's no longer available. So the more people that are born, because regardless of what you hear from Elon Musk, the world population is not declining. The world population is set to plateau, they believe, around 10 billion people. So Western population has a population decline because Western population has a problem with having an economic situation that is viable for having traditional families. Like nobody wants to have children right now because nobody wants to bring children into a world where potentially the president of the United States is going to burn down the country, therefore leaving the future generations with absolutely nothing to fucking live for. The problem is that the more people that are born in the world, the more people there are to consume products. If there are more people to consume products, but the products are becoming less because the ability to produce those products is getting harder, then you are going to see skyrocketing demand and diminishing supply, which leads to higher prices, and that's not going to stop. That's a problem that, once again, we're all sitting around acting like these things don't exist. We're all acting like the green blight on citrus doesn't exist. We're acting like the black rot on cocoa doesn't exist. If you don't believe me, look up the price of cocoa right now. Look at how high the price of cocoa has gone in the past like 4 or 5 years. We all sit around and act like the fact that the banana blights don't exist. We're acting like climate change doesn't exist. And that's a part of what this administration is doing by stopping the reporting. So I was just reading a report on avian flu this morning, right? So avian flu, I believe there's been 76 cases in the country reported, and 38 of them, I think, came from California. A person that studies the avian flu asked the question, is the avian flu going away right now? Is it being mitigated by the things we have done, or is it being underreported? And the article I read, and what I believe, is that it is being underreported. There was recently that weatherman that said that about the hurricanes, that he can't tell you where the hurricanes are going because the government has defunded the NOAA. Or not completely defunded it, but defunded it partially. I think that this administration and the people in control of it do not want people to know what's going on because it upsets people, and upset people ask for change. If people ask for change and the people in charge don't make that change, then oftentimes people will vote those people out. Right now we are sitting around looking at statistics, at facts, at studies that say bad shit is happening and it is just getting worse. And they just wave a $5,000 check in front of your face and you shut the fuck up. That's not a good thing.
Initiative has governed land use and planning in Solano County for 40 years, keeping cities growing without impacting farmland. Voters would have to approve changes to the law for the city to be built on protected farmland. Ironic, because the ordinance was first enacted in 1984 to prevent an investor from San Francisco from establishing a new city on the farmland.
Everything that's green is protected by the Orderly Growth Initiative. Okay, so Flannery's looking at this big green chunk down here. Here's Rio Vista, and there's Travis Air Force Base. So everything in gold is the land that Flannery bought. And you can see it's virtually that entire corner of the county.
As one of the 10 core guarantees made to Solano County residents, California Forever promised to create good-paying jobs in places where people live. Many of the companies that Schwamek announced as potential employers in East Solano are tech startups that share investors with California Forever's billionaire funders. Instead of waiting for a brand new city, officials say they would welcome them to their towns now.
We have a whole city block that I offered to him to go ahead and develop.
Yep, but this is what Peter Thiel said. Peter Thiel literally said this. Peter Thiel said, we don't always want to, we don't want to buy land that exists, right? So there was this guy, I forgot his name, but he's another one of these tech bros that wanted to create these floating cities in international waters, and Peter Thiel bankrolled him to do that. And that, I believe, fell through, and I think that guy's doing something different now. But in a speech, Peter Thiel said, he said, we could do these things by buying land in places where people live, but we might not want the people that live there. So we don't want places that are already occupied because the people that live there might not be the type of people we want to be there. So the reason that they don't want this city, when they offer them, hey, you can come in and put your tech companies down here, we would greatly appreciate the job opportunities. They don't want to do that because they want to be in complete control of who lives there and what the type of person is that lives there.
What you're looking at. Let's see it.
It's a bit
Is it Eric Prince? It might have been
disrespectful to withhold opportunity.
It doesn't sound like the
because
right
it's tied
guy,
to you directly. It's almost like a bait and switch or dangling a carrot before a person.
Here's what I've said about those companies that they've said might want to come out there. Come here now.
Affordable housing is another one of
That
the 10
puts the light in the
guarantees
words.
that California Forever offered the community as part of its sales pitch. They claim Solano County isn't building enough housing.
If you think that we aren't building enough houses.
Here, let's look it up real quick. I got to go soon, but let's do this real quick. Patrick Friedman, who co-founded the Seasteading Institute in 2008. I wonder, he's not related to that other Friedman guy, right? Former Google employee Friedman is considered the co-founder of the Seasteading Institute and co-authored a book on seasteading with a colleague. His work in the Seasteading Institute's mission explored the idea of building floating cities, potentially as a way to create a new society with its own laws and culture. And yeah, Peter Thiel, is he related to Sam Bankman-Friedman? I wonder if that's true. Sam Bankman-Fried. No, so he wouldn't be. Different name. I didn't know. I thought it was Friedman. Sam Bankman-Fried. Okay. So that's who it is. It's Patrick Friedman. Patrick Friedman?
Go down and look at our general plan and then come back and talk to us. It's
like
thousands,
I said, this isn't a conspiracy theory. It literally exists.
We took a tour of locations where housing is being built right nearby.
Exactly, Mom.
There were huge new developments in an area already zoned for housing and small neighborhoods right off main streets.
As you can tell, we're really active here in development. Price is really affordable for Bay Area standards, which is really cool. But the difference is these gentlemen can probably afford to live in these houses that we're building, which I take great pride in that. You know, I'm working class. My family is working class.
California Forever's apartments will start at $400,000 in today's dollars.
Jeez.
Years from now, when the city would open, that's likely to be well over $500,000.
Who that affordable housing gonna be for is not for me and my people. They did this same thing in Silicon Valley. They
don't want your
promised them
people.
all these houses and all this. Well, look at them now, unhoused. They gonna do the same thing to us.
California Forever now plans to get a development agreement in place before a vote by residents in 2020.
Oh, Cheyenne, the grandson of Milton Friedman. They're all connected, man. It does not stop. Wealth breeds wealth, and wealth breeds villains.
26, which could address their many concerns. The
Yep,
company plans
Cheyenne.
to work with
Good
the board
job.
of supervisors on the project,
Good job, Cheyenne.
which has people worried. It's very unlikely to win over some of the current supervisors.
As far as I'm concerned, I will never trust anything that they bring forward on anything. You broke the public trust. You operated in bad faith. You went after our farmers.
Not for an
The
apartment.
concern is that they may work to remake the board.
As long as they're here, they're going to work really hard to take over our politics. They haven't done that step yet, but they're getting close. That's what the 49ers did in Santa Clara.
Yeah. Oh, he's talking about the 49ers when they wanted to build a stadium in Santa Clara. Yeah, and like I said, Elon Musk did this in Boca Chica. So, like I said, you don't need to believe me. You can go and look at the example of what Musk is doing with Starbase and see what they're all trying to accomplish.
Clara, I mean, they basically bought city council seats, and to get the deal they want.
The CEO of the San Francisco 49ers has spent a record $3 million on supporting 4 candidates running for a seat on Santa Clara's city council.
They will do everything they can to get infrastructure money into their project to cut down their cost.
The secrecy was so resented, not even $7 million in marketing could overcome it. For months, California Forever tried everything. They blanketed the highways and airwaves with ads. They promised a big sports complex and a man-made lagoon and handed out cash to small businesses and nonprofits.
A lot of the
I tell you, just wave the check in front of people's faces. Dude, just wave the check. That's what they believe about people. And they're not all wrong. Just wave a check in front of people's faces and the morals disappear. That's how desperate, that's how hopeless that the middle class has gotten. That it's like you can just wave a check in front of their face. And they believe you'll just give right into it. You'll just give them whatever they want.
people like the garden that I work for, or just other people that I know in the community, they're saying they had to take the money because, of course, we're starving out there.
When the nonprofit did not agree with the terms of receiving it, it was taken back from them. And that's a nonprofit.
When California Forever decided to pull the ballot initiative, a coalition called Solano Together declared victory. Now locals must spend the next 2 years staying vigilant.
This is going to be studied in history. Everything that's happening now, this is setting a precedent for, you know, the future trajectory of what our society looks like.
I have never seen true, real grassroots.
No, it wasn't Eddie.
I mean, it's across the board.
The
Republicans, Democrats, does not matter, liberal, conservative. Never cared about politics in my life, but I care about farming, or I care about Travis. They're up against people who care, and that means a lot. We hope it means more than their billions.
And that's what I keep saying to you guys. That's what I keep saying, is that, like, it does matter what you do. Like, it's very easy to get, you know, hopeless. It's very easy to become apathetic, to get exhausted in this atmosphere. And that's exactly what people want. They want you to be apathetic. They want you to be exhausted. But there are tons of examples of people saying, no, we're not going to do that, and being able to stand up against these people. So we got to just keep doing that. And that's why you're here, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and check out that video on the screen now.